and welcome. Hello and welcome. Thank you all so much for being here. Welcome to another episode of the Deportation Defense Live. We're live, ladies and gentlemen. Can you believe it? And welcome. Thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate your tuning in today. My name is Otis Landerholm. I'm the founding attorney here at Landerholm Immigration, A.P.C, where we fight for your American dream. And today, we're talking about asylum law, and we're talking about the bars to asylum, okay? It's an important topic if you are considering requesting protection, legal protection in the form of asylum in the United States. All right, so welcome. Thank you for being here. Remember, the Deportation Defense Live is here to train, teach, inspire, and empower immigrants who are facing deportation to make the most out of immigration laws, to make the most out of their lives, and to win their cases. The question is, are you facing removal in immigration court, or do you know someone who's facing removal in immigration court? Because if so, you know that it is not easy. It is an uphill battle. The laws are against us. And here at the Deportation Defense Live, we're here to maximize your chances of winning that case. All right? So today our theme is asylum law and the bars to asylum. And as I'm talking about that theme, if you have questions about your case, hey, please let me know. All right, let me know. I'd love to do what I can to answer them live. Okay? So as always, we'll start with the basics. The basics about asylum, right? Asylum means protection. And to win asylum in the United States, you have to show that you have a well-founded fear of persecution on account of your race, religion, nationality, political opinion, or membership in a particular social group. All right? You also have to show that you haven't triggered any of the bars. There's bars or prohibitions, things that prevent you from being eligible for asylum. And lastly, you have to show you warrant a favorable exercise of discretion. Okay? Those are the requirements. Well-founded fear of persecution on account of your race, religion, nationality, political opinion, or membership in a particular social group. No bars, and you warrant favorable exercise of discretion. That's it. All right? Sounds simple, right? Well, it's not complicated, except that asylum law is actually one of the most complicated areas of the law, because how the courts interpret each of those issues creates an enormous amount of differences, discrepancies, nuances, where one judge in one part of the country might interpret the law one way and one judge in another part of the country might interpret the law a different way, and you got to know that, okay? So what about the bars? What about the bars? And that's really what our topic for today is about. So remember that when we apply for asylum, all right, yes, we've got to meet all those eligibility requirements for asylum. But one thing that I want to make sure we're clear about is that when we're applying for asylum and legal protection to avoid being deported under asylum laws, we do that on Form I-589, and when we do that, we're often requesting relief, if we do it the right way, if we do it the way I do it, we're requesting for relief under 3 laws at the same time, all right? Yes, one of them is asylum, which is the best, because it allows for permanent residency and a pathway to citizenship and other benefits. But there's also a law called withholding of removal, which we also request and apply for on Form I-589. And finally, there's protection under the Convention Against Torture. 1, 2, 3 different laws that we request protection under when we apply for asylum. It's asylum, withholding of removal, and relief under the Convention Against Torture. Okay, so the bars that I'm describing today, some of those bars are only bars to asylum. Some bars are bars to both asylum and withholding of removal. And it's important to note that these bars are not bars to relief under the Convention Against Torture. If you can show, it's more likely than not that your life or freedom, that you would be tortured by the government or by an organization that the government either acquiesces to or condones directly, then you can apply for relief under the Convention Against Torture, even with these bars. Okay. So anyway, so that's the basics. All right. So now let's look at what these bars actually are. Okay. The first and the most common one is the 1-year bar. It's the 1-year filing deadline. If you arrive to the United States and you wait more than a year to file your case, you lost. All right? You are barred from asylum. You will lose your case. I did a whole episode on the 1-year bar just 2 weeks ago. So tune in for that. Search it up on YouTube if you have questions about that. You know, it basically says that to win asylum, you must submit your application within 1 year of your arrival, of your most recent arrival. There are 2 exceptions to the 1-year deadline, but you want to be mindful of that deadline, all right? And the 1-year bar is a very frustrating piece of the law. It is only a bar to asylum. It does not affect withholding of removal or relief under the Convention Against Torture. Okay? But if you're applying for asylum, you need to file it on time, or you need to document and demonstrate that you qualify for one of the exceptions to the 1-year bar. Got it? Got it? If you're just tuning in, we're talking about the bars to asylum. If you have questions as we go, please send them my way. All right? And my name's Otis. I'm happy to be here with you. Welcome to our live session, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to our live session. So the second bar that I want to discuss is what we call the firm resettlement bar. All right? And these bars are in no particular order. I just did them in this way. So the question for the firm resettlement bar is, have you lived in, have you gained permanent residency or citizenship status in, have you applied for asylum in another country before you traveled to the U.S., right? Because when you're requesting asylum in the U.S., you're saying that your life, right, that you have a fear of persecution, your life or your freedom is at stake if you go back to your country. Well, if you have some other country you could go to, then you're not eligible for asylum here. All right, that's the philosophy behind it. And so, imagine you're a citizen of, let's say, Venezuela, and imagine you're a dual citizen of, say, Spain, for example. And you come to the U.S. and you say, hey, look, I've been threatened, my life is in danger in Venezuela. Well, okay, why didn't you go to Spain, though? Because you're also a citizen of Spain. If you're in that situation. And there it's like, oh yeah, well, I really just like the U.S., so I wanted to be here. Well, asylum law doesn't allow for that, okay? And so that's something you got to be aware of. We call that the firm resettlement bar. The third bar I want to explain today is what's called the persecutor of others bar, okay? And the law says that if you have participated in any way, right, ordered, incited, participated in any way in the persecution of other people, then you can't win asylum. All right? And so that's there. The fourth bar is the previously applied bar. If you previously applied for asylum in the U.S. and lost, then you're barred from asylum for the future. There are some exceptions, some ways around that with motions to reopen and things of that nature. All right. The fifth bar I want to explain is what's called the particularly serious crime bar. Okay. Serious criminal convictions can cause you to not be eligible for asylum. This is one of the bars that does apply for withholding of removal also. All right. Although the particularly seriousness is higher for withholding than it is for asylum. All right, so an aggravated felony by itself is a particularly serious crime for asylum, but an aggravated felony with a 5-year sentence imposed is a particularly serious crime to bar a person from withholding. All right, so that's a different standard. It's important to know that if you've got crimes involved. If you have a criminal record and you're applying for asylum, you will want to talk to a lawyer. You will want to actually have a lawyer represent you through the process. Okay? The last bar that I want to explain today is what we call the material support bar. All right? But really, it's for anyone who has participated in any way or even given any type of support to a terrorist organization or to terrorist causes, or if the government finds that you in any way pose a danger to the security of the United States, then they can bar you from being eligible for asylum. Okay? And so that's that. That's that. Those are the bars, and you got to know about them. So let me tell you a story about them. Okay? These bars can be a fight, and you can fight them. Okay? I had a case that was originally denied because of the quote-unquote persecutor of others bar. And why was that an issue? Because DHS alleged, believed that, thought that, argued that my client must have participated in the persecution of others just because he was in the army of his country. All right, which I will not go into specifics right now, but he was in the army of his country during a specific year where there was a specific civil war happening in that country where various regiments of that army did and committed bad things. All right? But in this particular case, it was like guilt by association. Oh, because you were in the army during this time, you must have participated in the persecution of others. So you therefore are not eligible for asylum. You must be a persecutor of others. So we're denying your case, is what DHS was alleging. Okay? And so they referred his case to an immigration judge. Now, in that case, we had to request the client's full military history, the record of his military work and training from his embassy. We had 3 full individual hearings in immigration court solely on this bar issue, right? Is he eligible for asylum or not because of the alleged persecutor of others bar? And I called in experts, and we heard his testimony about exactly what he was doing while he was in the army, all right? And we had to show that he was not subject to this bar, right? And ultimately, the judge agreed. Ultimately, we won, all right? And that client now has asylum. Actually, he's now a U.S. citizen because this happened a long time ago. But it was not easy. It was a giant fight in immigration court. And there are these cases that turn into that. And you got to know it. All right? It's not easy. But man, when there's this type of case, it's like you got to be ready to bring it in immigration court. Okay? So that's the way it is. That's the way it is. So so send me your questions. Some of you may have, send me your questions if you have them. All right, I'll be happy to answer your questions. The point of everything that I've said here is that if you have an asylum claim, if you're filing for asylum or you want to file for asylum in the United States, but if you have any of these potential issues, talk to a lawyer first. I mean, really, my best advice is if you're filing for asylum, it's a risky process, all right? You want to enter this type of case fully prepared, fully understanding the risks of applying, maximizing your chances of success. Okay? And so that's what my office is here to do. We're here to help. We'd love to help you if you're in that situation. Got it? All right, so let's get into your questions. Thank you all so much for being here. Thank you for asking them. So test 007, I see your question here. Thank you for asking it. You say, good morning. It's all EAD without I-94 so let me say this back in what I think you're trying to say. You're saying, is every EAD without an I-94 status called a status violation with just lawful presence? I don't understand. Okay. I had an EAD under category C30, I-94 for 4 years, and now a tourist visa is denied saying you have a 10-year bar. Okay. Well, I'm sorry that you're in that situation. I'm sorry you're in that situation. You had an EAD and you had an I-94, and your EAD was valid without a visa for 4 years in the U.S., and now you're applying for a tourist visa. It was denied saying you have a 10-year bar. Well, the answer there is that you probably do. All right? If you didn't have a lawful, valid visa, but you were maintaining some other type of status or some other type of, maybe you were, EADs through category C30. I don't recall off the top of my head what that is, but it might be an order of supervision with ICE, right? Where if you're complying with ICE, that does not confer an immigration status. And so you might very well have had unlawful presence in the U.S. If you have more than a year of unlawful presence and then you leave, you trigger a 10-year bar. Okay, so that actually might be accurate. I'm not saying for sure that it's accurate. I'm saying it might be accurate. And so test 007, thank you for asking that question. My best advice would be, let's do a consultation. Let's really understand everything that happened. Let's request your FOIAs and your records so that we can see whether or not they're accurate, whether or not they're correct in saying that you had a year or more of unlawful presence before leaving. Because if they are accurate, then they're right. You do have a 10-year bar. But if there's a way to fight around it, then we could tell that to the consulate and try to get you that visa. Okay? So hope that's helpful. Hope that's useful. I don't see that there are any other questions this morning. And so, so that's fine. Thank you to my friends here on Instagram. Brooklyn Ases, hello and welcome. And Yacerto, hello and welcome. And Life.Fitness, hello and welcome. And Golden Rose, hello. Thanks for being here. To my friends on Instagram, I appreciate you. And for everybody else on YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, TikTok, thank you. Thank you for being here. I really appreciate it. My name's Otis Landerholm. I'm the founding attorney here at Landerholm Immigration A.P.C., where we fight for your American dream. I'll wrap up today like I like to do with a brief empowerment tip, and then we'll wrap up, and then I'll start this episode in Spanish, okay? My empowerment tip today is this, all right? Sometimes you might feel stuck. You might feel stuck, all right? Maybe your immigration case is taking forever. Maybe you feel stuck in some other way in your life. I want you to consider that the stuckness that you may feel is not actually true. The stuckness that you may feel sometimes is not actually true. All right? There is always some option. There's always some way. There's always something that you can do to improve your situation or improve your life. Sometimes you just have to look at it from a new perspective. All right? Sometimes you may feel like your immigration case might be lost and hopeless. There's nothing that can be done. And maybe you're right. Right? Maybe you're right, maybe you're wrong. Maybe your case in the United States is done under current immigration laws. Okay, well, maybe we can work together to maximize your chances of being able to win if and should the law change in the future. All right? Or maybe we could at least do a consult and request your FOIAs and really see what we could do to fix the situation. All right? Or maybe you're right and the immigration case is lost for now. But that does not mean that your life is stuck in all aspects. You always have options to be able to improve, progress, and make your life better in some way. All right? And I invite you to take that on. That's my empowerment tip for today. Thank you all so much for being here. That's all the time we've got for our episode. I hope that this was useful, that this was helpful. If it was, please go to our channel in YouTube. Click the subscribe button to our channel in YouTube. Click the notifications bell, and you can receive a notification whenever we upload additional videos with updates, news, and things of that nature. Okay? And as always, if you have an immigration case, hey, please give us a call. We are here to help. We would love to help. All right? Thanks a lot. Hope you have a great rest of your day. If you speak Spanish and if you want to do this episode in Spanish, we'll start here in Spanish in just a couple minutes. All right? Thanks a lot, everybody. Make it a great day. Take care. Bye-bye.